Vitek here with Metal Wani, and with us today we have OTEP Shamaya. How are you doing?
Very, very well. Thank you very much for asking.
First, talk about the Generation Doom, which will be out in a couple of weeks. How, anxious and the excitement level is there in you as well as the band that the new album will be out after almost 3 years?
I don't. It's very hard to put it into words. The emotions that we're feeling at the moment.
Hmm.
It's like falling in love all over again. It's that kind of feeling.
Ah, that's awesome. And of course, with the single like Zero that's already out, and it's
Mm.
become like an anthem where I can clearly say you have given zero number of fucks. So it's
Yeah.
amazing that you chose that as the first single for the album. But how have the fans responded to it?
Oh, they've been insanely excited and supportive. They love it. I think that I wanted to release Zero as the first single because I wanted to lay sort of a foundation for my approach to writing this album.
Right,
I don't give a fuck what kind of genre you think I should belong in, and not you, but people, like that.
right.
But what genre people think I belong in, or what people think I should say as a woman, or what I should believe, or what kind of songs I should write, or how I should live my life. And so I wanted to make sure that that was indeed a big anthem of that I have zero fucks to give.
Excellent. That's a perfect way to begin an album as well. So
Thank you.
that's right. Now, even in 2013, you said that Hydra would be the last record of the band. Now we have a new album which is coming out. So, over the period of time, did that thought change? Obviously, what exactly led to that change?
In 2000, what was that? 2013.
Yeah.
Yeah, I meant it. I really meant it. I didn't. I was tired of dealing with music executives.
Hmm.
I was tired of dealing with people telling me again who I am and what I stand for and what genre I'm supposed to be in. I'm too heavy. People ask me, fans will ask me, well, why aren't you playing in our country, or why aren't you playing this festival or this festival? And my response is always, and I'll ask the people that are in charge of that, and they'll give me some answer. Oh, you're too heavy for that festival, or you're not heavy enough for this festival, and
Hmm.
and it's just it's difficult to do when you just all I want to do is play music,
Right.
and then they'll say that I should do this differently or this differently, not knowing or refusing to accept that for me it's not about the genre, it's not about the style of music, it's always about the message.
Right.
That's what drives me. And so I took some time off. I had to get away, and I do voiceover acting
Hmm.
as well, and I did I focused on that. I did the last Hobbit movie. I was in the Battle of the Five Armies. I did a video game called The Last of Us, which is on PlayStation.
Neat.
I did some other stuff. Yeah, it was really fun and exciting, and there was no drama. It was just fun. And then we toured, and we were unsigned, so we were just free to do what we wanted to do, and
Right.
reconnect with the fans. And that's really when I started to feel the the spirit of music returning to me.
Awesome. That's good
And
to hear that.
yeah, thank you.
Indeed. And like you said, that artistic integrity is something you've always been, transparent about, that you never gave a damn about how your fans or even people spoke about the music, but you did what you basically wanted to do. So you did that
Yes.
with Hydra as well, which was a huge departure. But Generation
Hmm.
Doom seems to be like a bridge of the past sound mixed with, let me say, the risky nature of Hydra. So was that something intentional?
That's wow, that's a really great way to put that. Thank you very much. It was, Hydra was a concept album, um, and at the time when we were writing Hydra, um, we were sort of being forced by these to finish it under really intense deadlines that were almost inhuman. There was almost no way to do it, and if I hadn't written a short story about this character Hydra, about the serial killer who kills other serial killers, then I don't even know if the record would have been able to be finished. Because so that's the reason why I thought, well, concept album, I can put out art very easily. So that's the reason why we wrote that. So, but when we came back to writing, when I was free of all that burden and all of that, all of the ugliness of that, I was able to be free again. I could go back to being who I am as a writer, which is being a personal. I write things through my personal observations. I filter them through my own life and experiences, and in fact, there was actually a return to poetry again, which is very exciting for me, and that's what I do, and it was it was a very strange journey for me, because at the same time when I was having this this very carbonating experience, very pollinating experience, where my soul was sort of effervescent because the spirit of music was returning, I was also going through some very difficult personal trauma, because I'd gone through, my dog. Well, I'm a big animal lover, as a lot of people know, big animal rights activist, and I'm vegan and all of that, so I don't eat animals. I love them. They are friends, not food, everybody.
Right.
But I'd also gone through a really devastating breakup. This person who I thought was the love of my life was my companion. She was my my confidant. She was my best friend. She was my lover. She was everything. And then suddenly that relationship ended, and that person was gone, and there was this huge vacancy in my life. And so at the same time, I was feeling excited and on top of the world again, because writing was returning to me.
Right. And
then this devastating moment happened. So luckily, I think, just for my own mental safety and my own mental health, I did what I had always done in the past, which was, I know that it's okay to feel sad. I know that it's okay to feel upset. I know that it's okay to have these overwhelming emotions. I just have to do something creative with them. So I wrote a poem about it, and that poem ended up becoming the song In Cold Blood.
Exactly. That was something I was about to ask, because that's the most personal track. I mean, it clearly reflects the evolution as a writer as well as a storyteller. I mean, your love for poetry is always been about, as reflect. It's sheer depth in it. In fact, I was going to the lyrics when I found, words like "something's wrong with me for thinking something's right with you. Now my thoughts float like moths over a fading flame." So that's where it caught my attention. There is a lot of emotion attached to this song. So when you were penning the lyrics down, it must have been extremely painful to, visit the past and then put it onto the paper.
Yeah, well, the truth is, I actually wrote those as I was enduring. I mean, the chorus, actually, those particular lines you just recited, those were written during that turmoil, during that very difficult emotional time. And so but then when I was going back and looking through my lyric books, and I'm still very old school. I write everything down on pen and paper. I don't use iPad or iPhone. I write everything down on pen and paper. And I was going back through my journals, for songs, and I knew that I was still feeling very poorly and very bad about what had happened between my ex and I found that bit of poetry, and when I read it, I could hear the melody, and that's when it became a song.
Right.
And it was very difficult to relive the pain. It was very hard to share that. To share that with anybody. I mean, especially, it's hard to share it with your friends, let alone, complete strangers or the people you work with. So to sit down and write that with Ari was was helpful because he's like my brother, but then going into the studio, it was difficult to record, and then knowing that it was going to be unleashed to everyone. But I honestly, I thought it was just going to be a song that people would listen to and say, "Oh, that's different." I'm sorry she went through that, but I didn't realize it was going to it was going to get as much notoriety and as much attention and be as relatable as it has become in such a short time.
Absolutely. In fact, even a track like Feeding Frenzy, and even Lots of War, where you're talking about the more wars and foreign shores, more names to us to more, and even like
Yeah.
Feeding, I said strength in numbers, keeping you like a sheep, makes me wonder why you're so weak. There's a lot of words, the inspiration, the motivation about raising the voice, fighting injustice. Now,
That's right.
that's been something which you've been doing for a long time. What exactly triggers that feeling inside you to basically cover such a huge horizon of injustice which is happening around the world?
Well, I think that I know what it feels like to be alone. I know what it feels like um, to feel oppressed and bullied and cast aside. And I, when I was younger, that's sort of the environment that I was raised around. And I just don't think that um, that it's right that those of us who can help, those of us who have a voice, those of us who are brave enough to speak should speak. I've never been afraid to stand up to a bully, and I found that's what we're supposed to do. You mentioned Feeding Frenzy.
Yeah.
Feeding Frenzy is based on an actual event. I was on tour, and there were some very conservative protesters standing on a corner, and I didn't know who they were. I didn't really even care who they were. I was on tour. I was tired. I was going to a market to get some food for. I was hungry, so I was going to get something to eat. And a group of about 14 people who were carrying signs and flags, and they just surrounded me as I crossed the street, and they didn't know who I was, and they didn't know if I shared their beliefs. I didn't share their beliefs. They were very conservative people, very close-minded people, and they just started attacking me. So I'm never really one to back down, especially when it comes to an intellectual discourse or debate on
Right.
on issues. And so I ended up, there was 14 of them, and I started to debate each one, and then I found out that each one was there for a different reason, and some of them were in opposition of each other. So by the time I left, I had all of them arguing amongst each other, and I just walked off to the market. When I came out, they were gone. So and then that struck that song for me was if there's strength in numbers, why are you so weak? You can't stand up for yourselves. You need a bunch of people around you. I stood up for myself, and I dismissed 14 people in about 10 minutes. You mentioned Lords of War. I have the I'm very proud of the fact that I have a lot of soldiers, American soldiers, who are big fans of ours, and they will come to our shows when they're back home, and then they'll go away and come back again, and some of them are okay, and some of them have given me their medals that they've won.
Awesome.
In combat, and some of them come back and they're not okay, and they're wounded and they're injured for life. And so I wanted to remind everybody, because I think it's just it's become so common here to just forget that we've been at war for 15 years or so. I mean, America's been at war since Vietnam. We just haven't stopped. But we've been in two wars, legitimate, which we don't call them
wars, right?
Full-fledged. We don't call them wars here. The government refuses to call it war because we have to have a declaration of war, but we haven't. But I wanted to remind people that we have our citizens going off still to this day who are coming back and who might not come back. And
True.
And they need recognition. They need to be remembered.